Hello everyone. Team Thinking in Lab welcomes you to its very new show, the Thinkercad. In this show, we will teach you guys how to build a robot from scratch with nothing but your computer. So put on your thinker caps and come with us to our amazing journey of building robots and understanding what goes behind building these smart creatures. So guys, in the last episode, we learned how to blink an LED, right? So now let me ask you one thing. What is better than one LED? A lot of LEDs, right? So today, what we are going to do is, we will put on a lot of LEDs with our brain that we used earlier, and we are going to make a pattern out of that LED. Isn't that sound interesting? So let's jump into the software.
Preview.
So as you guys can see, our project has loaded and we have given it a name called LED pattern because we are working on patterns with LEDs, right? So for our project, as we already know, we need a brain for our robot, which in this case is an Arduino Uno. So I'm gonna just drag the Arduino Uno R3 from the component picker and then place it in the workspace. So next, to build an LED pattern, what do we need? A lot of LEDs. So I'm gonna do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 LEDs. So I'm gonna pick 5 LEDs for this pattern. So as we have learned already, LEDs go with resistors to prevent them from carrying out overcurrent. So once again, I'm gonna add 5 resistors to each of these LEDs. You can always use one resistor for the negative, which is common in all the LEDs, but it is advised to use 5 resistors, 5 pair of resistors for each LED, one for each LED in the positive leg. That way it is more secure. So I'm gonna add one resistor here, one here, one here, another one for this, and finally one for our fifth one. So now all the LEDs have their respective resistors, but you guys know what's missing? The resistance value. So the resistors by default come at 1.0 kilo ohms, but here we are gonna need a 220 ohm. So I'm gonna just change the value to 220 ohms for each of them. So let's do it 220. Okay, that's wrong. 220, and let's change it to ohms, like so. Same for this guy. $220. For the next guy, 220. And for the final guy, 320. So now all the LEDs and their respective resistors are ready to be connected. But you know what? All of them are red. So let's change them to different colors. Because we already have a lot of color options in Tinkercad. So let's see what colors do we have. So it's red by default. So for the next, let's make it green. Okay, so that one's green. So next, let's go with why not yellow? Yeah. So next, let's go with blue. Yes, and finally white. Like so. So as you can see, I have colored all the 5 LEDs in different colors. So finally, it's time for the connection. So previously I had connected only LED to pin number 2 because I had one LED at that time. But since I have multiple LEDs now, I am gonna add them in consecutive pin numbers. So that is 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and finally 6. So now for the ground connection. So as I already told you, the ground connection is always common. So let's connect them to a common ground, all of them. So I'm gonna connect them in series, in parallel, like this, and this, and this, and this. So okay, that one didn't connect. So let's connect this properly this time. Yeah, now that's connected. So to avoid confusion with all these wires, so let's colorize the wires. So once again, for the ground part, I'm gonna color them black, and for the positive side, I'm gonna just leave them green. So let's color the ground as black. So this will go black. This will go black. This will go black. And this will go black. So now all the grounds and the positive terminals are individually colored and distinct, so it's easy to look at and understand the circuit. So since we have already done it, so let's connect the ground to the Arduino ground. So I'm gonna take one of these cathodes, which is this one right here. I'm gonna drag it to this pin, which is written GND, which stands for ground. Like so. And then once again, following the convention, I'm going to color it black. So as we can see, the ground rails are ready, the positive sides are connected. So now it's time to code this circuit. So let's go to the coding section. This is our coding section. So as you already know, there is some predefined blocks in here, which works on the built-in LED. So we don't need that thing in today's project. So we will just take it and we are going to drop it in the dustbin, the waste bin. So I'm going to just take all these blocks and dump them there. Okay, so our first pin is pin 2. So let's turn that high, which means on. So set pin 2 right here. I'm going to make this pin number 2 and this is set to high, so it's all good. Now for the control, I'm going to take a delay. So it's the wait block. It's set at 1 second, but since we are making a pattern, waiting for 1 second is gonna make it like quite long and boring. So to keep it interesting, I'm gonna shift it to 0.1 seconds, which is 100 milliseconds. So let's do that. I have changed it to milliseconds, as you guys already saw, and now I'm gonna type 100. So this is now 100 milliseconds. So now I have to do it with all these pins. So let me just try and okay, so copying does not work on this, so I guess I have to do all these things by hand. So let me put in the blocks first. So we have 5 LEDs, so I will put 5 consecutive blocks first, and then I'm going to change the pin numbers accordingly, right? So there we go. So 2 sets are done. Third set is done. Fourth done, and fifth it's done. So now I'm gonna set all these LEDs to on, and then I'm gonna do the same thing by turning all these LEDs off. So it's gonna be like a drill pattern, right? Going from 2 to 6, which means it will turn the rightmost LED first and then it will continue leftwards. So to spare you the boring things of repeating the same thing all the time, I will just fast forward the video to the point where I have finished this blocking. So fast forwarding now. Okay guys, so now we are done with setting all the pins low, high, and all this complicated stuff. So let me decomplify the complicated stuff for you. So basically what I did was, first I turned all the LEDs on with the interval of 100 milliseconds. So that is LED 1 on 100 millisecond wait, LED 2 on 100 millisecond wait, LED 3 on 100 millisecond wait, and so on. And then after all of them turned on, I started again turning them off. So LED 1 off, 100 second wait, LED 2 off, 100 second wait, and so on. So this cycle will keep repeating, and that is what I have done right here. So let's see the fruits of our effort, and let's see what have we achieved. So I'm gonna close the coding section because we don't need it anymore. I'm gonna close the part speaker because we also don't need it anymore. I'm gonna place this in the center. I'm gonna zoom in so that you guys can see the LEDs properly. So now it's the time, finally it's time to start the simulation. So I'm gonna click on that. As you guys can see, it's going in a trail pattern. So it's turning on the rightmost LED on first and going leftwards. So the pattern in the picture here is white, then blue, then yellow, then green, and finally red, and it goes in like a cycle, right? So now we have learned today how to make an LED pattern out of LEDs and an Arduino, which is also known as the brain of the robot. So that was it for today, guys. Hope you are liking this episode. If you are loving this content, give a like. That would be fabulous. If you didn't watch our earlier episodes, please go and watch them because that would may help you understand this episode better and the future episodes. So if you want to further watch content like this, consider subscribing to our channel. We do love feedbacks, so please go pour your heart out in the comments. If you are new to Thinking in Lab, check us out at thinkinginlab.com. Thank you.